All right, we're about to dive into a discovery that completely, and I mean literally, changed how we see our world and even ourselves. It's a wild story about a mysterious new kind of light that, for the very first time, gave us the power to look right through solid objects.
I mean, just stop and think about that for a second. What if you could actually see the bones inside your own hand, or find a bullet trapped deep inside someone's body? Before 1895, that was pure science fiction. It was the stuff of magic, right? But then an accidental discovery came along and turned the impossible into everyday reality.
Okay, so check this out. This looks like a photograph, but it's not made with the light we see. This is an X-ray image. You can see the liquid wine inside the bottle, the solid wax of the candle, even the delicate inner structure of the flower. This is that strange and beautiful power we're going to explore, the power to see the unseen. So to really get the story of this discovery, we've got to cover the basics first. What exactly is an X-ray?
Well, at its heart, an X-ray is a form of super high-energy light. Think of it like the visible light from a lamp, or the radio waves that carry music, but just packed with way more punch. And all that energy is what gives it the incredible ability to just slice right through things that stop normal light, like wood, paper, and, yep, even our own skin.
This chart really puts it all into perspective. You see that whole spectrum of light? Well, everything our eyes can see is just that teeny tiny little sliver right in the middle. But as the wavelengths get shorter and the energy goes way up, you go past ultraviolet light and boom, you're in the X-ray zone. That incredibly short wavelength is the secret sauce. It's what lets it wiggle its way through solid stuff.
Now here's the crazy part. This amazing scientific tool wasn't the result of some big, brilliant plan. Not at all. In fact, for years, scientists were accidentally creating X-rays in their labs and had absolutely no idea. The official discovery? It was a complete and total accident.
And the story is just filled with these tantalizing near misses. I mean, you can go all the way back to 1785, and guys like Wilhelm Röntgen are noticing a weird glow coming from their lab equipment. By the 1890s, you have giants like Nikola Tesla noticing that his photographic film keeps getting mysteriously fogged up. They were all seeing the clues, the effects of X-rays, but nobody could quite figure out what was going on.
And then we get to this moment, November 8th, 1895. A physicist in Germany, Wilhelm Röntgen, is working late in his darkened lab. He's got this piece of equipment called a Crookes tube, and he's covered it completely in black cardboard so no visible light can get out. But then, across the room, he sees a faint green glow. It's coming from a screen he had painted with a special chemical. Some kind of invisible ray was shooting out of his tube, going through the cardboard and lighting up that screen.
Röntgen had no clue what these rays were. He was totally baffled. So you know how in algebra you use x for the unknown variable you're trying to solve for? He did the same thing. He called them X-strahlen, which just means X-rays. The X literally stood for unknown, and, well, the name stuck.
And this is the image that changed everything. This is when the true, world-altering potential of his discovery became crystal clear. A few weeks later, Röntgen asked his wife Anna Bertha to put her hand on a photographic plate. He aimed his new rays at her hand, and this is what came out, this ghostly image. For the first time ever, a living person was seeing the skeleton inside their own body. You can even see her wedding ring.
But her reaction wasn't scientific wonder. It was profound shock. When she saw that spectral image of her own bones, she reportedly cried out, "I have seen my death." And you can totally understand why, right? It was a deeply eerie, almost supernatural vision that just completely changed our relationship with our own bodies forever.
That shocking moment of curiosity, though, quickly turned into one of the biggest medical breakthroughs in all of history. News about what Röntgen found spread like wildfire, and the entire world was immediately hooked.
Just get a load of this number, 1044. In 1896, just the year after the discovery, over 1,000 scientific articles were published about X-rays. 1,000. That tells you everything you need to know about the absolute explosion of interest. Everyone, everywhere, wanted to get their hands on this new power.
And they moved incredibly fast. We're talking weeks. By January of 1896, a doctor in Britain, John Hall Edwards, had already used an X-ray to find a needle that was stuck in his colleague's hand. Just 1 month after that, he's using it to guide a surgery. By May, Thomas Edison had already jumped in and invented the fluoroscope, a machine for seeing moving X-ray images in real time. The pace was just unbelievable.
And this is what it was all about.
This picture from 1897 says it all. You've got surgeons operating to get a bullet out of someone's head, and they know exactly where it is because of an X-ray. Before this, that kind of surgery was basically a blind, life-threatening guess. X-rays turned that guesswork into precision. It was, no exaggeration, a miracle.
But here's the twist. As all these early pioneers were racing to explore this miraculous new technology, they were completely, tragically unaware that the invisible rays they were playing with carried a terrible, hidden danger.
And that secret was simple. The same energy that allowed the rays to pass through flesh also allowed them to tear it apart on a cellular level. This was a power that could heal, absolutely, but it was also a power that could harm.
This comparison tells the whole story. On the left, you see an early X-ray setup. The operators are right there, totally exposed, no protection at all. They just had no clue about the risk. And on the right, a symbol we all recognize today, the warning for ionizing radiation. Because that's what X-rays are. They have enough energy to literally knock electrons off of atoms, which messes with molecules and damages living tissue.
Unfortunately, we learn that lesson at a tragic human cost. It's written in the stories of people like Clarence Daly, who was Thomas Edison's assistant. He tested X-ray tubes on his own hands and became the first known person to die from radiation exposure. Or pioneers like Elizabeth Fleischmann, who died from complications related to her work. Even John Hall Edwards, the very same surgeon who did that first groundbreaking operation, he developed such severe radiation damage that he eventually had to have his left arm amputated.
But the sacrifices of those early pioneers were not in vain. Their tragic experiences were a brutal wake-up call for the scientific community. It forced them to understand the risks and figure out how to control this powerful technology, turning it into the safe and essential tool we know today.
A huge part of that transformation was about the tech itself. Those early Crookes tubes were unstable, unreliable. But then, in 1913, the Coolidge tube was invented. This thing was a complete game changer. It created a stable, continuous, and most importantly, a controllable beam of X-rays. This was the key innovation that made modern, safe radiology possible.
And once we had that foundation of safety and control, the applications just blossomed. Of course, there's all the medical diagnostics we know, like CT scans and mammography. But we use X-rays everywhere now. In airport security, in engineering to find tiny cracks in building materials, in art history to see the hidden sketches under a famous painting, and even in astronomy.
And just look at this. This image is from NASA's Chandra X-ray Observatory in space. It shows just how far we've come. We're not just looking at bones in a hand anymore. We're looking at entire clusters of galaxies colliding millions of light years away, seeing the universe in a type of high-energy light our eyes were never meant to see. From the microscopic to the cosmic, X-rays have truly become our eyes on the unseen.
You know, when you really think about it, the story of the X-ray is a powerful lesson. It's about the excitement of discovery and the miracle of seeing something new. But it's also a sobering reminder that every great leap forward can have an unknown X factor, a hidden danger we just can't see coming. So it leaves us with a really important question as we push the boundaries of science today. What invisible dangers, what X factors might we be overlooking right now in our own modern discoveries?